All right, getting ready for episode 91. Family Meeting Podcast. So, took off a week because somebody took off a week.
That would be me. I took our daughters to Iowa to see cousins and grandparents and everything, and to see our church friends and everybody up in Iowa, and we had a great time.
Good. Favorite thing about being back? Up there?
Oh, up there. Everything. Just everything. I can't pick a favorite. I liked it all. I loved being with my mom. I slept in the bedroom that I grew up in. So there was lots of nostalgia about being home. And then I loved every person that I saw and just enjoyed every moment with everyone.
Did you cry?
A lot. Yes, I cried a lot.
Emotional.
Yes.
What's it like to go visit back home, but then come home to Florida? How does that feel?
I am happy to report that on my way from Iowa to Florida, I felt like I was going home.
Like you were coming here home.
Yes. This felt like home, which made me really happy.
I went to the beach every day you were gone.
You looked like you were enjoying your time when I was gone.
I had to keep myself busy. I don't like it when you're gone, but going to the beach every day helps.
You looked happy to me.
I'm always happy.
I'm like, do you miss me at all? And
yes.
You said.
I did.
Okay.
Especially at night.
Yeah.
And we're dog sitting, so I had an extra dog. It was me and two dogs, and sleeping was rough, especially with Felix. This is the dog we're sitting.
Yes, he likes to cuddle.
So there's like no room to move or turn. King size bed, and I was literally pushed to the edge. And the two dogs had the other majority of the bed.
Struggle is real.
It is. All right, you ready to get into this for today?
I am ready.
All right. Gather around, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Osterkamps. I'm Thomas. This is my wife, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo.
Hi, I'm Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. And welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 91 of the Family Meeting Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about jealousy in marriage. Now, jealousy is a pretty normal emotion. It can come up at random. And really, it can come up when you least expect it.
Yeah.
And, when we were preparing this podcast, and I was really thinking back to like jealousy in our marriage specifically, I felt like we haven't really had jealousy arise very much in our relationship, or maybe even at all, like between the two of us. Very, very rarely. But I did begin to think a little bit harder. And I remembered a few jealous moments over the 26 years together. So, Thomas, you're going to be on the hot seat right now.
Okay.
Can you remember a time when you felt jealous over the years?
For the most part, I only remember feeling jealous when we were dating and I was kind of a young, immature teenager instead of young, immature 40-year-old. In fact, we were thinking about this episode. I was thinking about our friend Daniel, who, remember this?
So I forgot, but yes, now.
Daniel was kind of touchy-feely, like
kind of.
Yeah, like nothing like in a gross way that I ever saw or noticed, but it made you uncomfortable.
He had his arms around me all the time, trying to give extra long hugs and that kind of thing.
And I remember you telling me that it made you uncomfortable and that you didn't like it. So I went and I talked to him. I said, "Listen, she don't like that. Like it makes her uncomfortable." And one day we were over at Daniel's house, the Kaplan's. And I was over by the fridge, and you were all the way across on the other side in the dining room by the table, and he was in there, and he put his arms around you. And next thing I know, like, I'm choking the life out of him.
I know. It happened really, really fast.
It's really funny to hear my friend Eric and my brother Chris tell the story. Because
they were there as well.
They literally said it was like I teleported across the entire room, and all they heard was like... And they pulled me off of Daniel. I remember that.
Okay, wait. So,
but I don't know if that was necessarily jealousy as much as it was like protecting you, but maybe a little bit of jealousy in there. I don't know.
Okay.
I remember jealousy though of the dude you worked with.
Oh, yes.
At Perkins.
Yeah, I don't
when
remember
was in
his
college.
name.
And you told me about that. And
Yeah, he was hitting on me a lot, but I had no feelings whatsoever for him. He was just hitting on me.
Yeah, and is that the dude that tried to kiss you or what?
He kissed me on my cheek when I wasn't looking. I was looking the other direction and he kissed me on the cheek and I was furious. And I told him, don't you ever touch me again. And I like got as mean as I possibly could. And I mean, I can get mean. Right?
I remember you wouldn't tell me who it was because I was like super ticked. And
yeah, I thought you would.
My boys were ready to jump him.
Your boys.
My boys had my back and they were ready to jump me.
Yeah, you were a long way away.
But I was definitely jealous as a teenager, just jealous of your time and things like that.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But since we've been married, man, I just don't know. There's been if it's been very few and far between.
All right, I can think of a time when you were jealous since we've been married.
Okay, let's hear it. I want to see if I can remember this instance.
When the babies were born and I was always off taking care of the babies. Does that mean you were jealous of the babies, not of me?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. You were jealous of my time.
It was definitely, I like your time. I like your attention. So if anything, I would be jealous of whatever's taking your time and attention.
Right.
So it makes me think of Coconut.
The dog, by the way.
Our dog.
For those
Coconut.
who don't know who Coconut is.
So we've been watching this other dog, Felix. And Coconut will kind of wander around, and there'll be times where I'm like, I really like to cuddle with Coconut.
Oh my goodness.
And so what I'll do is I'll get real excited and I'll talk to Felix and start petting Felix, and Coconut gets jealous immediately and comes running over and
then
wants
you
to
get
cuddle.
time with your dog.
Yeah.
You're a terrible pet owner.
But I am. But I'm also at times jealous of Coconut, because at night when we lay down, sometimes Coconut will go up and get in my spot where I like to lay and have you rub my head, and Coconut will get in there and start to get the loves first.
Yeah, I pet Coconut instead of I pet you.
I'm like, get out of here, dog.
Yeah.
But what's the instant? Oh, you talked about the
Just
babies
the
being
babies, yeah. Just like whenever you would want me to be cuddling with you in bed and the baby cries and I have to get up and go nurse, and you really disliked that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you wanted me to take care of the children, but
I would much rather you get up and feed the babies than me get up in the middle of the night to feed the babies.
yes.
But yeah.
So I only really had jealousy when we were dating, and
That's not true. I mean, I want to hear what you're going to say, but I can think of another time you were jealous as well.
oh, okay. I was gonna say, wow. Okay, never mind. What?
Go ahead. No, go with what
Okay.
you were going to say.
All right, thanks. Okay, so when we were kind of dating, Thomas went off to college. I was still in high school, so I was back in Iowa. He was in Pensacola, Florida. And I ended things with you.
You did.
And I said, you need to go to college. And the only reason you really like me is I'm your only option. When you go to college, you are going to have thousands of beautiful Christian women to choose from. And you're going to see that I'm not that special. So you need to go to college, single. So I made you go to college single. And I told him if we were supposed to be together, God would make it happen. So he goes to college. We still talk on the phone like
every day. Just about.
I still sent you care packages with like homemade baked goods once a week, right?
Once a week, and letters like every other day or something.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But we were not dating.
Not dating. So I had a friend, and we were pretty close. We were good friends.
Was this a female friend or a male friend?
Yes, it's a female friend.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I just don't want to say their name.
Yes. So, unnamed friend. It's hard not to say her name.
I know.
Because usually I say her name in a really derogatory way now.
Yeah.
Because of this instance. Well, anyway, so Thomas comes back from Christmas with a plan to try to make me jealous.
Whoa.
Yes. So that I will decide that we are going to be dating again. And I feel like this is the moment to tell all women, you have all the power. I mean, think back to this.
I know. Oh, no. I had a lot of power in that moment.
I guess
it's funny how
so.
jealousy works both ways, really.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, I said we're stopping dating, and you were just trying to convince me to be the one to say that we're starting dating. But you did have the power, I guess, because you manipulated me, and on purpose. He comes home and he tells me, actually, you didn't tell me. You told my brother in front of me.
Yeah.
How fabulous this new girl is that he's hanging out with at college. She's amazing. She's so gorgeous. Over the top, talks about how fantastic she is right in front of me. And I knew you were trying to make me jealous. I knew you were playing me to try to get me back. I know you well enough. I mean, even at that point, we had known each other for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was so mad at myself, but I was like, I think it was like the next day. I was like, okay, let's be back together again.
You played it cool for one day.
Yeah.
Actually, about a night.
I don't remember exactly when it was, but I took him back and I was like, okay, we're officially dating. And you never went out with that girl again.
The rest is history, so to speak.
Yes.
Because here we are. But
jealousy. It can happen.
I can remember you being jealous.
Okay, when was this?
When we first moved back to Iowa. We've been married 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. First moved back to Iowa, and of course, I'm going back to my old stomping grounds and getting back together with my friends and stuff like that. It wasn't jealousy over like a girl or anything like that. It was me spending time with my friends and kind of leaving you in the dust.
Let me say, to a great extent, you spent most of your free time with your friends when we first got back there. I think because you had missed it so much.
Yeah.
That is my memory of it.
And it was just like, it was falling back into, it's kind of like when you go home to visit your parents.
Yes.
It's like you just feel like a kid again.
Right.
And you kind of fall back into that. And that's kind of the way that it was with me and the boys.
Yeah. And we just had to learn how to be married in Iowa.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to be married in Iowa.
Yeah. It's kind of like moving here to Florida, and we have to learn how to not be on vacation. While we live in Florida.
That's been really, really hard.
Like, you need an exercise routine. You need to stop,
eating junk food all the time.
Eating like you're on vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't have any trouble working here. It's the extracurricular kind of stuff, the bad habits. But let's get back onto track and talk about jealousy a little bit. A little jealousy can be a normal response when we feel threatened in our relationship, but it's really, it can become really unhealthy. It can become irrational. It can even move into the danger zone quite quickly. Yes, I said danger zone. I knew it.
Especially with Top Gun Maverick coming out.
I knew that you would not be able to hear the word danger zone without trying to start singing.
Absolutely cannot.
Into the danger zone.
Danger zone.
But jealousy arises generally when someone feels insecure about their relationship. And that relationship could be with a spouse, it could be with a parent, a sibling, a friend. It could be with your dog, Coconut.
Yeah.
But, we recently did an podcast episode on favoritism, and jealousy can come up between siblings for a parent's attention. I mean, jealousy can come out in with your coworkers and your boss and those relationships.
And you've talked about jealousy arising when you feel insecure about your relationship. And I think that's probably why I can't really think of a time since we've been married that I felt jealous. Because I'm very secure in our relationship. In fact, probably almost to the opposite extent, where I can maybe not be as present in the relationship and give as much effort, almost like a lackadaisical attitude about the relationship instead of being insecure about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And maybe that's what our next podcast should really be about, is the opposite side of jealousy.
Lazy husbandry.
I think you could write that episode probably pretty well.
Yeah, I probably could.
JK, everybody. Okay. So favoritism, that can create jealousy, but everyone experiences jealousy at some point in their lives. It's going to happen in your life. It probably already has. And sometimes jealousy is legitimate, and sometimes it's all imagined. It's not even a real response that we should be having. It's unfounded. But other times, and we're going to talk about it at the end of this episode, what if you have a real reason to be jealous? What if something has taken place where you've been betrayed by that person and you have a real reason to feel insecure in the relationship and therefore jealousy comes along? We're going to talk about that at the end of the episode.
And then there's just sometimes your spouse is jealous over a pop singer that there's no reason to be jealous about it.
Oh, gosh. That's so ridiculous.
I agree.
No, I mean, you're ridiculous.
Okay.
I am not jealous of a pop singer.
Really?
Really.
You just hate her for what reason then?
I hate her because when we were teenagers, you threw her in my face all the time.
Jealousy.
I don't even know what to say to you.
Okay.
Okay.
But the main...
Everyone wants to know the pop star now.
If you hang on to the end of this episode, I will let you know who it is.
Oh, snap.
Maybe I'll sing some songs at the end of the episode and you can guess who it is.
Okay, I'm going to guess that nobody's going to hang on to the end of the episode.
And give your answer, and we will earn you a prize. A personal mixtape of me singing.
Mixtape.
All of her greatest hits.
Okay.
You really have us off track here.
I don't.
But the main reason a person experiences jealousy is that they feel insecure.
Yeah.
And when jealousy comes up, it's usually because a spouse feels someone else is coming between them and their spouse. Or maybe it's something else. Because it's not necessarily have to be a person. It could be
a hobby,
a phone, a hobby, or something else. And that can look like a lot of different things. It could be children.
Yeah, children can come in between. Like when you felt that way when the kids were first born.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It could be parents.
My parents are visiting right now.
And I remember somebody last night said, "Hey, I know you have men's mentoring from 6:30 to 7:30,
yes,
so I'm going to go to my parents' house." And then someone said, "Hey, I'll be home at 7:30," and then that person wasn't home till after 9:30.
Wow. That person sounds terrible.
Somebody could tend to be jealous in that moment. But
this is going to sound, for those of you who maybe this is your very first family meeting podcast.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. This sounds like a lot of passive aggressive stuff going on between us. But I promise.
We're just giving illustrations from life, and that's what we do here.
Yes, it is. We're very transparent. But really, you're not mad about me coming home at 9:30. You're joking right now.
Not anymore. I slept on it.
Yeah. He was joking. When I called him on my way home, I was like, "Hey, I'm on my way home." He goes, "Oh man, is it 7:30 already?" And I was like, "Almost, but not quite." And it was 9:37 or something. Anyway,
so
okay.
you could be jealous of parents.
Parents can come in between the relationship.
It could be friends, like we talked about in our relationship.
Right.
And that jealousy can lead to feelings of anxiety, anger, depression, resentment, and it can make a person very scary. Controlling, paranoid, all of this kind of stuff.
Right. And, irrational, intense, excessive jealousy, that's often a warning sign of potentially abusive relationship. So if jealousy is something that is, it's not taken care of, it's not talked about, it's not worked with, it's not brought under control, then this is the direction it's going to go. Okay. Eventually, jealous people feel so overwhelmed by their emotions and their insecurities that they begin to exert control over their spouses to try to make sure that they keep on to this relationship and they hold on to that person. They will do whatever they can do to get rid of the threat. So maybe it's no more going to spend time with your parents. Am I allowed to see my parents later today?
See your parents whenever you want. Yeah.
Just kidding. But yeah, I mean, that happens. And we have seen this.
It does happen. We have seen it happen.
We've seen it in our own families where the spouse says, "I don't want you to see your parents for this amount of time." And so the control begins to happen. And they're trying to do whatever they can to feel more secure in their relationship. And this leads to an abusive relationship. And go ahead.
Well, and we've seen it in people that we've counseled as well, where it was literally like, you can only talk to your parents on the phone when I'm in the room and it's on speakerphone. You can only text a certain amount of times. You can only go to their house this amount of time. Like just crazy, very specific demands to control the entire thing. Mm-hmm. Which is so unhealthy.
It came from a place of insecurity and therefore jealousy. But eventually, if this intense, excessive jealousy is left alone, it will only grow. And this person may resort to financial abuse, verbal bullying, and violence even to keep their spouse under control and to relieve their feelings of jealousy, to make them feel more secure in the relationship. It doesn't really help.
And what's kind of funny to me is the person is trying to control and keep the relationship together. And so they start these abusive behaviors. And what they don't realize in the end is those very acts are what will tear the relationship apart.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it?
And most likely jealousies won't start with abuse. Mm-hmm. But if it's left unchecked, it eventually wreaks havoc on a relationship and leads to abuse. And you say, well, why is that? Because the jealous person becomes more and more fearful, angry, and controlling. And it also destroys the trust in a relationship and leads to more arguments. And then that jealous person begins to make demands and constantly questions the other person, following or stalking a partner to confirm whereabouts. And one of the things we always talk about whenever we touch on this topic is, listen, if you are in an abusive situation, you need to get help.
Yeah.
And you need to get yourself out of that situation to a point where you're safe and taken care of. If you need counseling and all those things, get those things. Okay. So never keep yourself in an abusive situation like that.
That's right. And jealousy can cause a spouse to infringe on their spouse's freedom. So in this insecurity, they think if they take away freedoms, maybe prohibiting them from seeing the family and friends or whatever it may be, they feel like then I have more time with this person and therefore the relationship is more secure. That is not true. They can become very paranoid about what the other partner is doing or maybe what the other partner is feeling. Do they love me anymore? Demanding an account of where that partner has been. Show me everything. Where have you been? Reading emails and texts or listening to voicemails and expecting to discover infidelity or a lie. And it's not wrong to look at your spouse's emails and texts.
Right.
My husband and I, we're an open book. If he wants to look on my phone and scroll through every text message, voicemail, email, anything, he can scroll through anything. It won't matter.
That would be a lot of text.
You'd be exhausted. But you won't find anything that will upset you. You just won't. It's not there. And vice versa as well. So it's not wrong to do that. But when you are doing that constantly and reading the emails and texts, and you're expecting to find the lie, you're expecting to find the infidelity, this shows your partner you don't trust them. And this is just not a good aspect of your relationship. Maybe it's that you're texting your partner nonstop. Whenever you're apart, you're not together, it's constant texting. Where are you now? What are you doing now? Where are you going next? And just constantly being on them all the time, making them feel like they have no freedom, making them feel like you are their warden and they have to come to you and, give account of every moment of every day. Does this sound like a fun relationship to you? Does this sound lighthearted and enjoyable and intimate? No, it sounds terrible. Maybe it can lead even to making accusations that aren't even true or unfounded.
Yeah.
This jealousy can lead to even excessively questioning a spouse's behavior and motives, like questioning their motives, just assuming the worst. And, the Bible says that love believes all things. We believe the best about people. That's what true love does. It doesn't immediately assume bad behavior and bad motives.
And it's important to point out, we're not talking about somebody who has proven to be unfaithful and is working to rebuild trust in a marriage. As Lysandra mentioned a little while ago, we have a couple podcast episodes on that where you do set up the parameters and all those sorts of things. If this is we're talking about somebody, there's no issues other than one spouse's own insecurities and their own fears.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, what if you are struggling with jealousy? Maybe it's you, maybe it's your spouse. We want to encourage you not to ignore it. Don't just look the other way and hope it goes away. Okay? It's not going to. It's going to get worse. It takes awareness and effort to overcome these feelings of jealousy. Don't just hope like, oh, I'm sure it'll just get better with time. If I just leave it alone, it'll get better with time. Most
things never get better with time.
True with any. Yeah. It's unrealistic to think that way. Any bad behavior only gets worse if it's not dealt with.
Yeah.
If you ignore the problem of jealousy, then that's when it does lead down this path to abuse. It must be dealt with. But how? What can we do? And so often when we get to these moments in our podcast where we say, but how? How do we conquer this? How do we change this? Oftentimes our very first encouragement for you is that you should begin with prayer. Mm-hmm. And I know it's Christian cliche, and I know it is, but it's also truth. Prayer is always the first place to start. When we pray, we recognize that we're powerless to fix ourselves apart from God. It shows our dependence upon him. We must first start at the feet of Jesus to conquer any bad behavior or any sin.
And the next thing you and your spouse can do if jealousy is present in your relationship is to research. Mm-hmm. If you can understand the causes of it and identify why one or both of you have this problem with jealousy, you can begin to prevent it from becoming such a driving force in your lives. And it's important to get to the root of the jealousy.
Mm-hmm, right.
And when one partner is feeling jealous on a consistent basis, it's important to find out why is that happening? Why am I always feeling jealous about this situation, this scenario, or whatever else? Try to understand where the jealousy is coming from and what you can do to lessen it. Understanding it really strips it of its power. Mm-hmm. And some of the reasons jealousy is present is that it's rooted in fear of abandonment and a worry about not being truly loved. This may be the case because the jealous person is reliving a hurtful experience of abandonment in the past. Therefore, they're worrying about losing someone or something important to them. Fear of betrayal, it goes right along with this. And it reminds me of an episode of Friends.
Okay.
Where they're talking about kind of Ross's issues that he has with jealousy. Mm. And stemming from his relationship being broken with his wife. Mm-hmm. And that's where really all that jealousy and
right.
And that can be the case in a lot of situations where it's a spouse. It has situations growing up and all those sorts of things.
Right. So trying to understand that jealousy and starting to examine yourself and saying, okay, what happened in my past that now I'm so afraid of being hurt, or I'm so afraid of losing someone, or I'm so afraid of betrayal,
or being left alone, or missing out, or whatever the situation may be.
Yeah. A lot of times it stems from something even in our childhood. Or a past relationship. But other reasons jealousy may be a struggle for you is that you may generally just kind of feel suspicious. Maybe you are a suspicious person. Maybe you feel threatened. Or maybe you're dealing with a sense of failure from past experiences. And now this is translating now into these present events as jealousy. You don't want this to happen again. And we already touched on the fact that, it might be insecurities or even having a poor self-image. And I know that oftentimes that is my issue in our marriage. I have a poor self-image. I have insecurities in that area. And so then I'm constantly concerned about other women being prettier than me or whatever. However, I'm so very insecure in our relationship that I'm never jealous of you.
You're very secure, not insecure.
Oh, did I say insecure in our relationship?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even know I did that. I feel so secure in our relationship that I am not, even though I have insecurities in this area, I feel secure in our relationship, so it does not lead to jealousy. But that may be an issue for you, a person with low self-esteem.
Yeah, because if you're not feeling strong in your relationship, and then you add in your own physical insecurities that you have about yourself, then that can really compound it and make it a jealous situation.
Exactly. So, one thing, though, too, that it could be, if you are having this issue with self-image and insecurities, is you might feel like you always have to work really hard to keep the relationship. You feel a sense of urgency all the time to convince the other person that you're good enough to stay with. So, in other words, if it's an issue of the way you look, you're always trying to convince the other person that you look good enough for them to stay with. And that sounds exhausting. This leads right into another reason jealousy can be an issue for you or your spouse. You may feel intensely possessive or an intense desire to control, just in general. You may have a misguided sense of ownership over your spouse or an unrealistic expectation about relationships in general. And it's just not a realistic expectation of a relationship.
But and in order to get to the bottom of the reason, you may have to go to counseling.
Mm-hmm.
You may have to sit down with a counselor and say, listen, I am having this issue with jealousy, and have that person kind of walk you through and talk you through why that may be. It may be a situation where you just don't have the ability to figure it out on your own. Mm-hmm. So in order to do that, and we're big on counseling. We're big on people going to counseling. It shouldn't be viewed as a bad thing. It should be viewed, we need to change our thought process on counseling. It should be viewed as, this relationship is so important to me that I want to do everything I can do to make it the best I can possibly make it. We have maintenance on our cars. We just got an oil change today. Why? Because it's something that we value. We want it to last, so we take it in for maintenance. And counseling should be the same way. So maybe you need to go to a counselor and say, hey, listen, I'm having some issues with jealousy. We're having some issues with jealousy, and have them talk you through it. Now, after coming to an understanding of the underlying reasons jealousy is plaguing you or your spouse, then you can take the necessary steps to prevent it or to get rid of it when it pops up. And one of the best ways to prevent jealousy is to create an atmosphere of trust. And this is a process. Like, it doesn't just happen overnight. Developing trust is not immediate. It takes work. Both you and your spouse must be faithful, committed, and honest. And this will create a relationship of trust. Trustworthy people do not lie about how they were spending their time.
Right.
They also don't cheat on their spouses.
Yeah. So we have to create that relationship where trust is present and you can trust your spouse. You can also develop a healthy connection. So a strong relationship involves showing affection. Go ahead and be demonstrative. Go ahead and say those words, I love you. Put your arm around your spouse. Hold hands.
I love you.
Thank you. Actually, don't put your arm around me right now. It's really hot in here. Are you hot?
Wow. I am hot.
I mean, you are hot, but are you temperature hot?
No.
Okay, I think it's hot in here. But when your spouse is not really, really hot, put your arm around them. Cuddle
if your
up.
spouse is ugly, you hold tight to them. Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all.
I was wondering why you were holding me so tight.
Nice. But really, a healthy connection involves showing affection, communicating, talking to each other about everything, spending time together, quality time. Thomas and I have a date scheduled tonight, even though my family is in town. We are having a date tonight. Build that connection to one another. Okay, any risks to your connection should be a cause for concern. If something is coming in between that connection, we've got to have that healthy connection. And beyond this, you need to accept that your jealousy is hurting your relationship with your spouse. Understand what it's doing. Admit that you're jealous. And that may be a hard thing for you. I think for most people, it's very difficult to admit our faults.
Yeah.
So go ahead and just say, I'm jealous. It's a fault. I'm a jealous person. Okay, we all understand that the way to get better is to admit we have a problem in the first place, right? Same with jealousy.
And then take some time to discuss the root of your jealous feelings. And the root may be an issue that you have in your past, and we've talked about some of the possibilities. The root may be an actual issue that needs to be discussed. Mm-hmm. There may be a friendship that is a little too close than it should be. It may be a situation like me with my friends when we moved back to Iowa, where I was spending entirely too much time with them versus spending time with Lysandra. So it may be a legitimate issue, but you have to talk about it and discuss the situation and what's going on. And then you need to make a decision to change your behavior. Like, I'm going to change, and these are the steps I'm going to take. You've got to understand and accept that you cannot control someone else, but you can control your response. Okay, I can't control if my wife comes home at 7:30 when she said she's going to come home so that we can have supper together and enjoy our night together while our kids are over at the grandparents' house. I can't control that. All I can do is control my response when she gets home close to 10 o'clock at night and I'm already pretty much asleep.
Passive aggressive at its finest. You're creating a great example for people to follow.
Well, I just believe in letting it out there so people can understand, hey, we work through stuff.
Yeah, we do. We do work through things. And guess what? Tonight we're having a date.
This podcast is like my therapist. All of you.
You guys are his therapists. Oh, man.
But as I mentioned already, seek professional help as a couple if need be. And we talk about it all the time. If you need to get help, get help. Your relationship is worth it.
That's right. And you talked about car maintenance. And, you know, we have a relationship refresh retreat coming up in a month?
Yeah, July 15th and 16th.
Yeah, and that's in Orlando, Florida at the 4 Points Hotel. And it's something that anyone is welcome to come to. So if you are interested in that, you can find that on our website. And I think it's interesting because, you know, today you talked about that oil change that we had in our car, the maintenance. And that oil change, as they were, you know, under the hood, they're looking around, they're checking the car out, they found out that our brake pads were getting bad. And getting that maintenance, that regular scheduled maintenance, exposed another problem that was underlying that we could not see. We didn't know that the brake pads were having problems. And sometimes it's really good to go ahead and invest in a little time in your marriage, maybe away from the kids, and put in that work of just the maintenance. And you may find out, you know, there's something else in our marriage that we need to be working on a little harder. Another way that we can invest and improve in our relationship. And so we do want to just invite you, if it's something that you can make it to, relationship refresh, I think that it will be a great benefit to you and your spouse.
And it's in a great location, Orlando. It's a great place to come visit wherever you are in the country. I mean, we're minutes away from Disney, Universal, shopping, sunshine, couple hours, less than 2 hours to a beach on the Gulf side or the Atlantic side. Shopping, restaurants. It's going to be awesome. We hope that you'll take some time to be here with us.
That's right. But another thing that you can do if jealousy is present and you're trying to work through this is you can set fair ground rules that you both agree to. Okay, now, in this example of when we first moved back to Iowa, we're kind of using that and going back to that, we talked it through. I mean, I had to come to you and I had to say, like, I am hurt because you're wanting to spend all this time with your friends and me and the girls are at home by ourselves often. And I don't feel good about this. You know, I had to express it to you. And we had to come to some sort of an agreement. And it wasn't that you were never going to see your friends again. That's unrealistic. So we had to talk about how often was it going to be and what were the ground rules on that, you know? And we had to both agree to that. So the important thing is that you take time to talk about your concerns and agree together on some boundaries that will protect your relationship and protect your hearts. You may have to agree that limiting contact with like a flirtatious coworker is the thing that's important for the health of your relationship. Now, for 14 years, Thomas had a coworker that he spent a lot of time with. She was female, but it happened to be his mother, so it was all right. She wasn't flirtatious at all. She was very good, but she did spank you. So
yeah, wow.
I think that got really weird. But yeah, so I was very blessed that Thomas's only coworker was his mother. She was his secretary for years.
Love you, Mommy.
Yeah. And so sometimes they would go out to lunch and stuff, but I was okay with that.
Yeah.
But that may not be the case for you. You may have, you know, your spouse would maybe working around beautiful women, or you may have a wife who works with all these handsome, flirtatious men. Well, we've got to guard that relationship. We've got to make sure that this is healthy and we've got some boundaries set up and some protection. Or maybe you decide that talking at bedtime while one spouse is on the road, that will alleviate some concerns. And we have friends who have experienced a lot of travel in their relationship where one spouse is on the road. And there was a story that they had that was so funny because they were both quite secure in their relationship. But there was this one story that they told us. And the name of the resort where he was put up by his company was something about roses.
Oh, that's right.
You remember
this? Out in California.
And there was a charge sent to her credit card that she received from some like rose resort, and it was like champagne or something. And he was in meetings all day and into the evening. And she said, man, if I was not so completely secure in our relationship, everything was pointing to my husband having an affair.
Yeah.
Everything. And yet, he wasn't. He was legitimately working and there was nothing to really worry about. So maybe though, if your spouse is traveling all the time, and I know my parents did this when my dad was on the road a lot, they would talk every night. And there's that security in knowing, I know where they are, I know what they're doing, and we're okay. But the key is that you discuss the issues, discuss them calmly and in a loving way, and then come up with some solutions together you can both agree on and feel safe and secure in your marriage relationship.
Yeah, maybe don't jump from seeing a charge on a credit card to burning all their clothes in the fire pit that night. I mean,
right. I know you cheated
have a little
on me.
conversation. I could see you jumping to burning the clothes real quick in a
Me?
situation like that. Yeah. You've got mad at me for stuff that I've done in your dreams. Like,
I know, but the dreams were very realistic.
yeah.
I was pregnant.
So,
Give a pregnant mom a break, man.
but what if you do have a good reason to be jealous? What if the jealousy isn't unfounded or irrational? What if your partner has been unfaithful in the past and you're worried it'll happen again? As I mentioned, we have a two-parter podcast called Recovering from an Affair, episodes 38 and 39. And that can help you with jealousy that stems from legitimate reasons and kind of how to work to build back trust.
And out of all the episodes we've ever done, those were some of my very favorite episodes because we had a listener write in and tell us, I've had an affair. I've broke the trust of my husband and this is what we did and this is how we went through it. And they allowed us to interview them. And then we were able to read their answers to our questions.
And tell their story, yeah.
We told their story in these episodes. And man, it was so good. They were so real, so raw with us. And that episode, I believe, has helped a lot of people. And so we were so grateful to those listeners for sharing that with us. And you may have something that you want to share with us, maybe your story that can help others. And if that's the case, you just reach out to us and let us know. And
I remember getting that email from this person saying, hey, I've got a story. It's extremely hard for me to tell, but I think it'll help a lot of people. And so my spouse and I want to tell
it's amazing
the story. So they sent us that email. Hey, if that's you, if you got a story that you think, man, this could really help a lot of people, shoot us an email. info@femalemeeting.
I was going to say, wait, what? Did we change our email address?
That's a totally different website, probably. Don't go there. Female
meeting?
info@familymeeting.org. Familymeeting.org.
Very good. Very good. And speaking of family meetings.
Yes. So
let's talk about a family meeting for tonight.
Maybe you need to have a family meeting about a female meeting. I don't know.
Yeah,
that could cause some jealousy for sure.
Absolutely.
But maybe you just need to sit down and just talk about how secure each of you feel in your relationship tonight. Do you feel secure? Are there little things that you're feeling jealous about? It could be something as severe as how much time somebody's spending with somebody of the opposite sex. It could be as simple as, I feel a little jealous when you're on your phone so much, when it should be just the two of us. So if you have those feelings of jealousy, just take some time and talk about it and come up with some steps for how you can work through that situation. Maybe it's a situation where say, what, we really need to get some counseling. This has moved to a place where we're not going to be able to work it out ourselves. We need a third party to kind of navigate this for us and kind of give us a plan of action on how to get out of this situation. So that would be a good family meeting conversation to have tonight.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting Podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you have found this information to be helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org. That's family, not female. Meeting.org. Our email address, as was stated before in a very probably unclear fashion, is info@familymeeting.org. Or maybe you'd like to shoot us a text or give us a voice message. That's 257-3062.
I have to make a comment on one of our listeners and what they said about this phone number. This was really funny. So I went back to Iowa, and one of our listeners in Iowa was talking to me, and they said that they thought it was so funny on the episode where you said that you never want to talk to anybody ever, and that you make me make all your phone calls for you. And then you told everybody to call into this number, and we laughed. And then I said, well, actually, nobody will answer that phone number. That is a voicemail. They can put a voicemail, right?
They can put a voicemail, yes.
You will not be answering the listeners' phone calls. Is that correct?
I will not. No, you can leave me a voicemail, and we'll have a recording of it. It'll also send me an email and a text of your message.
Yes. And you love texting and emailing.
Yes.
But you will not be making phone calls.
No.
Unless it's an emergency.
Yeah, if it was a severe situation, I would definitely call you back. But
right. I thought that was pretty funny, though. They had a good point there. Well, thank you for joining us today. We've had quite an interesting episode with lots of blunders, but I feel like that really shows the real us.
It really does. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we look at gossip and how it can destroy relationships. And we're not just going to look at gossip as in like when you're talking to your friends, when you're talking to your spouse. We want to talk about gossip in the family. And the reason that we are writing an episode on this topic is because we had a situation in our very own family, in the 6 of us, where gossip could have become a very big problem. And so we want to talk about that with you and share what happened and share some ideas with you and some advice.
Maybe you've gotten to this part of the episode and just waiting. Who's the pop star? Who is it? Do you want to share with them who it is?
No.
You don't?
I can't say her name. No, I'm just kidding.
She's so angry.
I'm so angry. I can't even say her name. Why don't you give us a little taste of what she sounds like?
Her voice is I have a high voice. Her voice is way higher than mine. She sings like Dream Lover, Come Rescue Me.
I don't even know what that song is. That's not one of the popular ones, is it?
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm thinking of...
Fantasy is one of them.
What about the Christmas song that she sings?
Oh, yeah. All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
All right, who knows who that is?
All I want for Christmas is you. Baby.
Very good.
So...
I think people know who she is.
But you still should have to say her name.
Her name cannot be said on our podcast.
Yes, who is it?
Her name is Mariah Carey.
Oh, she said it.
Now she's like 60.
Yep.
I'm still jealous of her.
So funny.
No, not really. But anyway, yes, he sure did like her as a teenager.
Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
I do love you.
That.
Yeah.
So that female meeting, that's a faux pas.
Yeah. I would like you to stop having female meetings.
Yeah. I feel like that's an okay thing to be jealous about.
Yes.
Might be an issue we need to deal with. But thank you for joining us. We want to invite you to join us for our relationship refresh, yes. July 15th and 16th at the Point Resort in Orlando. And you can check out our social media for that information or go to our website, familymeeting.org. Let other people know about our podcast. You know, share the YouTube. Tell all your friends and family, neighbors, coworkers, anybody you come in contact with to subscribe.
Yeah.
So they can see all the ins and outs of what we're doing behind the scenes of actually recording an episode.
Yeah, this is riveting.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
We can't believe you have stuck around to watch this part even.
It's shocking, but
have a great week, everybody. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.